It's showtime.
Hey everyone, Django Fett here, hunting down games, comics, TV shows, movies, and more, and this is a review for The Invisible Man. Now this was a movie I was really interested with because this is another attempt at the Universal Dark Universe project, being that it failed with The Mummy massively, and now they're restarting, but Blumhouse is doing it, which really caught my attention because Blumhouse has done some good and bad things here and there, and it just caught my interest because they have a small budget and they can do some really creative and new things compared to a big budget Hollywood stupid film and just not do anything with it and make it super generic. So trapped in a violent, controlling relationship with a wealthy and brilliant scientist, Cecilia Cass, or Elizabeth Moss, escapes in the dead of night and disappears into hiding, aided by her sister, their childhood friend, and his teenage daughter. But when Cecilia's abusive ex, played by Oliver Jackson Cohen, who was in The Haunting of Hill House, which I really love, commits suicide and leaves her a generous proportion of his vast wealth. Cecilia suspects his death was a hoax, and as a series of eerie coincidences turns lethal, threatening the lives of those she loves, Cecilia's sanity begins to unravel as she desperately tries to prove that she is being hunted by someone nobody can see. Now, this was the second attempt at Universal trying to do the monster thing, but I think at the same time this is kind of like this one-off thing where they're just doing just these individual movies without being connected and being this big bloated universe Avengers type of thing. So I think that's what they're trying to do from what I'm seeing, because this movie really caught my interest with the trailers, and it really gave me the chills, and it got you really thinking. After seeing this movie, it really got me thinking, because the fact that someone's invisible and they don't speak, they don't make any noise, and they're somehow stalking you and making you do horrible things, or they're doing horrible things in your name, or making people think that they're doing horrible things, insane to me. And it would drive me crazy, as it did with the character herself, played by Elizabeth Moss, who does an excellent job, as well as everyone else in this movie. The acting is just really great in this movie. Elizabeth Moss just really sells this innocent person with a fragile personality who just goes completely insane over time because her ex was just abusing her like crazy, and all of these things are happening bad to her, and she knows it's her ex who's doing this, and she knows he didn't kill himself, but nobody believes her because this person's invisible, and obviously there's no such thing as people invisible and stuff. So that aspect alone was awesome, and the fact that they panned quite a bit, in whether it be with Elizabeth Moss in the background or she's just looking at an empty space, you really suspect that what she's suspecting, there's someone there, there's something eerie going on. Now, this movie is directed by Leigh Whannell, and he has been involved with writing some of the really good films like Saw 1, 2, and 3, which I remember being good before it fell apart completely after that point. He was involved with the writing. He also did he was the executive producer for the rest of the Saw movies. And James Wan was his best friend, or still his best friend. And they've always been involved quite a bit. James Wan being the director, and then Leigh Whannell being the writer, and now it's kind of flipped. So he actually did the Insidious movies, wrote the Insidious movies, all the Saw movies, but he also directed and wrote Upgrade, which I still haven't seen yet. I heard it's a really good movie. I really want to see it, but I heard good things about that. And now The Invisible Man, which is a second movie that he could put on his resume, that he directed and wrote, and I think he's just done really good things, especially with a small budget. I think this movie was like $7 to $9 million to make, and it already made it no problem with its initial box office release, making like $29 million opening weekend, which is really freaking good. And it's no shocker at the same time. These horror movies you know, they intend to make their box office because they make them on the cheap. This one cost a little bit more because they had the CGI and the production and stuff like that. But man, he just sold the eerie vibe, the horror vibe of someone invisible, and not making it like too over the top like they did with like The Mummy or some other bullshit out there. They made this his own complete different film, made it more of a thriller slash horror, more of a thriller I would say than it is a horror. Just to think about like all the invisible things and the invisible spaces and whether you know that person is there or not. It gives me the creeps. I have to say, it gives me the chills and stuff. A couple of the bad things that I didn't like was some of the plot holes, and they tended to have jump scares and a few jump scares and loud music here and there, and I was just like, you don't need this, man. You really don't need this shit. And it kind of ruined the movie for me. Not completely by any means, but for horror movies, for thrillers, you don't need this shit anymore, okay? Just drop it. And there were a few times that I was just like, I had to close my eyes because I can't stand jump scares because I'm easily, you know, I'll get frightened for that second. But I just don't like jump scares. I fucking hate them with a passion. And there was a couple of them that were just completely unnecessary. Take out the jump scare bullshit, man. You don't need that shit. You have somebody who's invisible, okay? Just go with that. Okay, that's enough right there. So I'm gonna get right into the rating. I'm gonna give The Invisible Man a I like how Blumhouse was doing this movie in particular, as it was meant to be, but I don't know about the other monster stuff. Hopefully they don't do that shit in the future. I don't know. Solo movies, just keep it like that. Invisible Man, it was awesome. I really enjoyed my experience for what they did with that small budget and the director involved and the writing, and it was just really great stuff. Really fantastic job, and I gotta give a lot of credit to Lee Winnell for doing this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to please like this video, comment down below, tell me what you think of The Invisible Man if you have seen it below, and subscribe to my channel Django Fett if you haven't already, and I'll see you, my fellow Mandalorian brothers and sisters, next time. Ooh, yeah!